David has brought us two of our coolest cars, two of my favorite cars. We've got the Countach we'll get to in a second. The Vette, it's a 427, so we can see big block. It's a 67.
This is a real 427 Corvette.
Yeah. And what color is this? Because it looks great.
It's maroon. It's not the red. I'm kind of a red car guy. I always wanted a red one, but when this one came up, I had to grab it.
And what's the story with this car?
Well, I liken it to religion. You know, you got your Reform churches, you know, and those are the kind of guys that buy a car and they may paint it and they'll change the wheels and all that kind of stuff, but they're still car guys. And then you've got your basic Orthodox guys who are original car guys. So they buy the car, they don't like to change anything on it. If they do change it, they'll change it to the factory specs and all that kind of stuff. Then you've got the ultra religious, and it's almost a form of madness. This car is all original and you can't change anything on it. So for instance, there's little screws in the engine, little tiny screws that have little dots on them that came out of the factory that way and I showed it to my mechanic. He said, see these screws? $500 a piece.
Really?
Because they're everything on the car is exactly as it came from the factory, and that's like a big deal.
They're $500 a piece because you got to pull them out of somebody else's
exactly,
427, somebody else's real 427.
Well, also, I mean, there's two ways you can restore a car. Like there's the restore it to the nines, and then there's the get the overspray on the firewall the way they would have done it at the factory.
Right.
And even guys getting, you know, chalk and writing the chalk marks on the rear ends and all that kind of stuff. But there is do it exactly as it would have come from the factory. But this isn't a restoration. This is a survivor.
This factory paint, factory, everything on it is as it came from the factory. So it's rough. I mean, you can't. It looks a lot better in the rain than it did if you dry it off, because you see there's some spider webbing to the paint here. I mean, it's not a perfect car by any means, but it's totally original.
And it's a new sort of class, that survivor class that people are starting to get into.
Yeah.
Where they're
it's creating a lot of value, though.
Yeah, there used to be, I mean, now there's this whole thing where, you know, 10 years ago, if you found in the barn an AC Cobra, then you went and took it somewhere and the guy media blasted it, and pounded out everything and got the raccoons out of the glove box and put the whole thing back together and made it look better than it looked when it left the factory in Venice in 1964. This is one of the years that just looks great. I think the hood, they just got it right. The induction is great. It looks, it does everything a hood scoop should do, which is it looks mean.
Yeah.
It looks
But I know this is a thing for you, and it's not a real scoop. And I know that aggravates you.
But it still has a cowl.
Yeah, it looks like
it,
but it doesn't, you know, it's not pulling it in.
Oh, well, listen, you can punch that out. And it does have the side pipes, right?
Yeah, they're factory side pipes, which are louder than thunder. The old fuel tanks on these things are literally, you know, it doesn't go down. There's the fuel. There's the fuel tank right there.
If you're literally just
looking
at it.
When you fill it up, you're just watching it fill up.
Can we pop the hood? Take a look.
And this is where you'll really see the survivor thing of it. I mean, you know, engine bays for Corvettes are famously immaculate these days, and this one is certainly not.
Wow. But that makes it fun. Yeah, I like that.
But apparently you have thousands of dollars of original screws in here.
Yeah. A small fortune in original screws.
Wow.
And it's got this is the 435 car, which was, this is the L71 engine. They had the L88, but they only sold 20 of them. They're like $1 million I can't afford.
Yeah.
So this is the tri-power, 3 Holley 2 barrels in a row.
Oh, it's 3?
Yeah, 3 carbs.
Wow, 3 2 barrels.
And it's 435 horse, which in the olden days probably equals, I don't know, 290 or 320 or something like that these days.
Well, can we fire it up? And
sure.
I was going to stand behind the car, but I don't need to stand behind the car, right?
Stand anywhere over here.
Yeah. I love the fact that the emergency brake doesn't work. Healthy. Wow, sounds great.
I love the smell of them. Yeah, it's good.
Anytime somebody takes the radio and turns it up and it goes vertical, that's a good sign. Fantastic. Can we take a look at the European.
Yeah, they're hairband member.
Yeah, yeah. This is great. This is the Countach. What's this? 83, 84?
No, it's a
88.
88, and it's a quattro valve. So it's right at that. It's the last one before they go into the anniversary model, which you know is just like, and you know it was Pagani.
But the anniversary one had like the weird body
All the
kit
weird
kind of
stuff.
deal. Yeah, all kinds of weird body kit.
All the stuff
Body
here
kit
and
stuff on
here,
it. Yeah,
and
weird
you're like,
vents.
Dude, what were you thinking? The interesting thing I think about the Countach and its development, it's designed by the same guy that designed the Miura. And was it Gandini, right? Is that how you say his name? And it's so fascinating that he builds the Miura, which is arguably the most beautiful car that's ever been made, right? And then it comes to say, okay, we're going to build a new car.
Yes.
And you'd think what most designers would do is they would kind of take what they did before and just, massage it. And he breaks all of that away. He moves all the radiators to the back. He goes with this extremely sharp rake here. He takes the engine, puts it longitudinal. I mean, everything, he comes up with a completely new car.
This thing was very, especially if you look at the panels and the windows from, the midway point forward, was very stealth fightery before, 20 years before that came out. Like very slabby and very angular. I was going to say, can we pop the hood?
Sure,
I don't know, the bonnet.
We got here, yeah.
I love it. It's just when you first see them in person, like if you haven't seen them in person, you really get a feel for just how low and how wide they are.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
only 42 inches tall.
Yes.
And this has, and I know.
Yeah, you did a lot of work in here, didn't you?
Well, yes, this is very sad. I got it, and I had a pre-purchase
You
inspection
wanted the
done.
quattro valve.
Yeah, and they said, it may need a valve job. And I said, they got the metal from like Russia or something like that. So it only has 17,000 miles on it, but the valves were just gone.
Right.
So that was 20 grand that my wife, by the way, still doesn't know about. So don't. I
doesn't watch
had
that.
to hide the account to pay on that.
Wow. And it's
$20,000 valve.
20,000.
And I love the extensive use of the braided steel hose back when it didn't really exist in automotive use. It's an insane car. Yeah, I love this car
Yeah,
because
that thing's sweet.
it's why the terrorists hate us. And I know I say that every once in a while, but I mean, the whole point of this car, like when people go, oh man, I could get a small block crate something and get the same horsepower. It's like, you're missing the point, buddy.
Yeah.
It's complicated because it's complicated. It's like saying to a guy who's building a ship in a bottle, why are you building it in a bottle? It'd be so much easier if you just build it on your desk. Like, that's the point.
That's the point.
The whole point is people have to come by and go, how'd you do that? And you have to come by and look at this and go, what the hell were they thinking?
Real car guys hate this thing, but I just love it because I'm a hairband car guy.
Yeah, the wing.
The wing, which creates absolutely no downforce.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
literally,
and I think
because they
Leno
put it
both
on
took
and the
theirs
Americans said, oh, give us more of those things. It's like, oh, it doesn't really, because it already had a lot of downforce. In fact, between this and all this. So it literally is completely neutral. It just slows the car down a little bit.
That's what makes a supercar. You need lots of wings and intake vents.
David, I don't want to correct you, but I was watching the movie Red Line, and they were dragging.
That was your first mistake.
And he hit the nos on one of these things, and the wing flew off. And when the wing flew off, car went 90 feet into the air,
Well, that's
literally launched. So
documentation.
you tell
That's
them, you tell the producers of Red Line, this
Yeah.
thing doesn't create any downforce.
What was that? thinking?
15-inch rim.
I love the
335.
345.
There's only one guy that has the tires because Pirelli only makes them once a decade. They make a batch of them, and then it's like, oh, geez, this again, So it's $3,000 for the tires that you got to wait for them, and then everything's like that.
Order them now because by the time they
Yeah,
actually
I
are
have ordered.
brittle,
Yeah, exactly what I've done.
Then you'll want to.
And I know I don't
change
really
again.
need them, but it's one of those crazy things.
Unbelievable, and a crazy contrast, but two great cars in their own right. David, let's toss out a website, a Twitter, something. Someone wants to,
For the
you
restaurants?
got to sell some chili because
Yeah,
these tires ain't free.
Yeah, exactly. Barney's Beanery, barneysbeanery.com. 5 locations. Come on by. Weddings, parties, bar mitzvahs.
It is
Drunken times.
it
You know what
is
else I want to
good
ask you is
times,
the
yes.
soapbox derby car that you famously
Oh,
wrecked
I wanted,
in your
yeah,
race.
I have to defend myself on
Isn't
this.
it in one of the restaurants?
Yes,
So
if you
where
want
can
to
we
see
it?
the
Does it have
car that
blood on
almost
it?
killed Adam Carolla, it's hanging. I have it right as you walk into the Westwood location in Westwood Village. I have it right over your head, so you walk in and there it is, all its glory.
Perfect. Yes.
Adam's blood on
I'd
it.
talk more about
Probably
it.
has Adam's blood on
I'd
it.
talk more about it, but there's a lawsuit. You've not been served yet, David. So, all right. So
You just lost the Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I think.
Easily here.
that will be mentioned in the lawsuit
Yeah.
in lieu of payment. So until next time, this is Adam for David and Matt saying keep the air in the spare and the bag in the wheel.